Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome to NoDQ&A video right here on NoDQ.com, as well as the YouTube channel and NoDQ&A videos affiliate, ringsidenews.com. Before we get to WrestleMania 32, we have a Roadblock. The Roadblock special on the WWE Network will take place on March 12th, headlined by Triple H defending the WWE title against Dean Ambrose. Got your questions regarding this week's Raw, the Roadblock special, and other topics. So let's get started today with the first one, which comes from Delts. Well, Aaron, that might have been the worst Road to WrestleMania episode of Raw I've ever seen. It was just meaningless. Your thoughts? Besides Stephanie's promo, which I thought was really well done, I would say that this Raw was a 2-hour, 45-minute waste of time. I think there were way too many recap segments. We already have recap segments on SmackDown. It was just overkill. And it really felt like there was no real storyline advancement for any of the matches at WrestleMania this year. I guess with the Charlotte and Sasha Banks and Becky Lynch storyline, there was the double pin, so that rematch will take place on SmackDown. But besides that, it was a very disappointing show. To me, it felt like WWE had taken one step forward last week and then 2 steps backward this week. I just don't know what happened here. Maybe everybody was too overhyped. You know, people thinking that WWE was moving in a new direction creatively, but at the end of the day, despite Shane McMahon coming back, it's really the same creative direction and nothing has changed in WWE. It was very unfortunate. I was hoping for a better show leading up to WrestleMania. We should be getting more excited about WrestleMania, not less excited. And I got this question here from John. Hey Aaron, did you find Undertaker's return tonight kind of lame for a very short moment? Please answer in video. Yeah, I was really disappointed in it, but not surprised that this is what happened. Last week, a lot of people were asking me, will there be some sort of storyline development where Undertaker perhaps turns down Vince's match and Vince has to put Taker's career on the line or does something. At least Undertaker comes out and says he's not doing Vince's bidding and there's some sort of follow-up in the storyline before the match actually is a sure thing for WrestleMania. But no, none of that happened. Undertaker just came out and said, yeah, I'm doing the match, but the blood is not on my hands, it's on yours, blah, blah, blah. And that was it. He spent more time walking down to the ring than actually cutting a promo. So yeah, it was very much a letdown, but like I said, I was not expecting anything significant to happen. I figured there was a good chance Undertaker would just come out and say, yeah, he's doing the match, and he's going to beat up Shane, and blah, 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 and that's the end of it. So it is what it is in WWE. I wish they would have more creative storylines, but they're just going to rely on the novelty of seeing Undertaker versus Shane McMahon as the selling point for the show. They're not going to bother coming up with this complex storyline that has twists and turns and takes the fans on an emotional roller coaster ride. Instead, they're just going to go the most basic route possible, it looks like. Unless we do get some kind of swerve in the next few weeks. But I'm not expecting much of anything, to be honest. Alright, this one comes from Countout TV. Do you think the Triple H and Ambrose segment was to keep heat on Triple H since he got a major pop after the Reigns beatdown? That very well could be the case. A lot of people now are speculating maybe Dean Ambrose will get the WWE title. He'll beat Triple H and WWE will change the match into a triple threat or add Brock to the mix and make it a 4-way, or maybe even Dean Ambrose versus Triple H. I'm thinking that this is what you suggest in this question, that WWE is stubborn, in particular Vince McMahon. They want Roman Reigns over as the top guy, and they will do whatever it takes to get heat on Triple H and get people cheering Roman Reigns. So their idea, I think, is that you have Dean Ambrose, the fans love the guy, and you saw on Raw when Ambrose attacked Triple H, the place was going nuts. I mentioned this on Twitter. Ambrose in 10 seconds got a bigger crowd pop beating up Triple H than Reigns has in 6 months. I mean, maybe with the exception of the TLC pay-per-view. I think that WWE knows how much the fans like Ambrose, so if Triple H absolutely destroys this guy, it will somehow get heat on Triple H and get the fans sympathetic towards Roman Reigns, and the fans will want to see Reigns get revenge on his buddy. I see right through it. I think a lot of fans are going to see right through it. And I'm not really sure how this ends well for Dean Ambrose at this Roadblock event. It's supposed to be Ambrose versus Lesnar. You want Ambrose to look as strong as possible, but I do not see any other outcome besides Triple H defeating Dean Ambrose. Now maybe Brock Lesnar will interfere and cost Ambrose the match. That could happen. I also wanted to add that if by some chance Dean Ambrose defeats Triple H at WrestleMania, I will shave off this beard. Add that to the stipulations that if Ambrose wins at the Roadblock event and beats Triple H for the title, has to beat him for the title, I will shave off the beard. And I also mentioned on Facebook that if the third hour of Raw this week does under 3 million viewers, I will also shave off the beard immediately. But I'm not expecting that to happen. Football season's over, and it is the road to WrestleMania. I would be shocked if ratings got that low. But part of me almost wants the ratings to get that low because maybe then WWE would finally shake things up. But not getting my hopes up on that one. So just wanted to add that to this. And let's move on here. This one comes from Nicholas. Please answer in video. Is it just me or does WWE not seem to have a clear direction for WrestleMania? Well, the clear direction has been to elevate Roman Reigns to be the top guy in the company and get him over as the new John Cena, the new babyface that carries the company. That has really been the direction going back to November when they shot that angle where Triple H offered the title to Reigns and Reigns turned it down and turned down being part of the Authority as the champion. But beyond that, it does seem like WWE really doesn't know what to do. And part of that is due to all of the injuries, WWE having to change whatever long-term plans they have, and they're just not that good at being able to come up with a long-term storyline on short notice. And I think that we can see that based on the Undertaker angle with Shane McMahon and with this whole Triple H, Dean Ambrose angle. Maybe they're testing the waters. Maybe they want to see if the fans really do like Ambrose more than Reigns, and maybe they'll change plans, who knows, but my gut feeling is Triple H will beat Dean Ambrose at the Roadblock event, probably clean. I would not be shocked if Triple H just flat out beats Dean Ambrose, and then Triple H puts over Reigns at WrestleMania, and Reigns becomes the new face of the company, and that's the end of it. I'd like to see something else happen, but that is what I'm expecting from WWE at this point. Alright, so moving on here. This one comes from D-Minor88. How do you think WWE will do Wade Barrett's leaving? An injury, or will they acknowledge it at all? Please answer in video. I would be surprised if they acknowledged Wade Barrett leaving just because he's not that big of a star. If it was a major superstar and he just suddenly disappeared, WWE would need to acknowledge it in some way. But Wade Barrett is not really a big enough star, so I think what will happen most likely is he will just fade away into the sunset without any acknowledgement on television or anything like that. It's always possible maybe they'll bring something up like he's leaving, or maybe they'll shoot an angle where he gets injured or something happens, but most of the time when somebody leaves the company, they put over people on the way out, and then that's the end of it. Alright, this one comes from Johnny. What do you think of the idea of the Usos and Roman turning heel and forming an all-Samoan faction? Not really a big fan of the Usos turning heel, although I will say I've been surprised at how well Kofi has done as a heel. I did not think that he would be a really successful heel, but he's been doing a tremendous job, although the New Day have been getting babyface reactions more than boos. I would be surprised. I mean, maybe there's a side of the Usos that we haven't seen, and if they were given the opportunity to go out there and be creative as heels, maybe they could make it work. I do not see it at this time, but there's always the possibility, and it might not hurt to try at some point down the line. I just think in general, guys like the Usos are better off as baby faces because they go out there, they do the high-flying maneuvers, and they're natural underdogs. You want to cheer for them. They're not the biggest guys, but they go out there and they do all the crazy stuff, and the kids like them. It just seems like they're better as a babyface act, but you never know. You never know until you try something different. Alright, this one comes from SK. Why doesn't WWE hire bookers from places like New Japan, Pro Wrestling, or Ring of Honor to help with storylines? I think, to put it in a simple way, it's because WWE likes to appeal to a mainstream audience. WWE likes to hire writers from Hollywood, people that have movie experience and television experience, and if they hired people from Ring of Honor, it would be too much wrestling on their show. And WWE is an entertainment company. They're in the entertainment business, not the wrestling business, as Vince McMahon once put it. It would be better if WWE just hired writers that knew how to write compelling wrestling shows. I mean, it's not rocket science to write a professional wrestling show, yet WWE is unable to really produce captivating television, it seems, these days. But at the end of the day, they're still making money, so they're going to keep doing whatever the hell they want. Alright, this one comes from Ricky Lawson. What did you think of the WWE Confidential shows, and do you think WWE should bring it back? I did enjoy them back in the day. I remember the one about the Montreal Screwjob, and I think there was one about Shawn Michaels, and they did one on Mr. Perfect after he passed away. But I think in today's era with YouTube, there's really no need to bring back WWE Confidential. A lot of those types of segments, they already feature as YouTube videos now. So back in the early 2000s, it was a nice concept. But now, I mean, I really do not see much of a point in bringing it back. I mean, I'd rather WWE just do more of the Steve Austin podcasts and have more guests on and talk more about the inside of the wrestling business and do more stuff like that. Alright, this one comes from Mr. Panda 316. Hey Aaron, please answer in video. What are some Shane McMahon matches and segments you suggest going back and watching on the WWE Network? Definitely Shane McMahon versus Test from SummerSlam 99. To me, that was the match that really put Shane on the map and also made Test a big star, although WWE dropped the ball on Test a couple months later. But that match was very memorable. Of course, SummerSlam 2000, Shane McMahon and Steve Blackman, and then Shane McMahon versus Big Show at Backlash, and then, of course, Shane McMahon versus Kurt Angle, King of the Ring 2001, one of my all-time favorite matches, one of the most brutal matches of all time. Shane McMahon somehow got out of that alive with all the crazy punishment that he took. And then later on, you could check out some of the matches with Kane, the ambulance match at Survivor Series, and just that feud in general was entertaining, from Shane getting his balls electrocuted by Kane and Shane knocking Kane into a fiery dumpster and all that stuff. You know, wacky storyline, but it was entertaining. Alright, this one comes from Sean Anderson. Please answer in video. Do you think WWE should keep Daniel Bryan on television? If so, how should they use him? Keep up the great videos. I definitely feel that Daniel Bryan should appear on WWE television when he can help enhance the show in a way that would not draw too much attention to himself, because if he comes back and he's around too often and in too many various roles, I think that he'll end up getting a bigger reaction than the people that are on the actual show that are still wrestling. That is the downside to having Daniel Bryan around. So you want to be careful about when you have him appear. But certainly as a goodwill ambassador, having him do public appearances and maybe having him appear before the crowd every now and then, that can definitely have its benefits. So it's just a matter of picking the right times to have him appear. Alright, this one comes from Latvian Buzzsaw. Longtime viewer, first time asker. Has there ever been a tag team where one was heel and the other was face, and who would you want? I'm not sure what you mean by that last part, but when you're talking about tag teams where there was one babyface and one heel, the one that comes to mind that I remember was Sting and Lex Luger back during the early months of Nitro, the end of 1995. You had Luger turn and kind of join the Dungeon of Doom, and he was a heel feuding with Hogan, but at the same time him and Sting were still being portrayed as best friends on television, and Sting and Luger would team up, and Sting would try to tell everyone that Luger's not that bad of a guy and there's still good traits that he has. So it was an interesting storyline where you had Sting and Luger staying best friends, and they would be a babyface tag team, but Luger would still go off and do the heelish antics, and it was an interesting dynamic. But yeah, that's the pairing that I seem to remember most significantly. Alright, so that'll wrap it up for this edition of NoDQ&A video. Thanks as always for watching. Stay tuned to NoDQ.com for the very latest regarding Roadblock, not to be confused with the WCW enhancement talent with the same name. And of course, NoDQ.com will have you covered for WrestleMania 32. Stay tuned for all that, and I will see you guys next time.